Good day and welcome. You're listening to the Eyes Open Network, where we try to bring you the absolute truth and save you the time of searching and sifting through all the different media sources, whether it be mainstream media or alternative media. Today is Tuesday, November 3rd, and today's topic is going to be World War III. Many people just believe that World War III has yet to start, or that it's not going to start, or of this mindset. The fact remains is that World War III has begun. It begun some time ago. I'm just going to review a few things, and this being what I would call the calm before the storm. Things like what's going on in the South China Sea, where China's for a year has been building a brand new set of islands by dredging up the ocean floor. This hasn't they haven't done this secretly. It's just happening out in the open. But as it takes shape, it's clearly a military base. And so the U.S. has been spending some time cruising through the area, stating they're on innocent passage mission, and the China believes that their travels are illegal, so they're following them around. They also had a submarine following the aircraft carrier, the U.S. Reagan. They also had, then also Russia had a couple of warplanes, do a little flyby of this aircraft carrier within a mile at 500 feet. So pretty darn close. The U.S. had to scramble some F-18 fighters to sort of escort these ships away. It just seems that the U.S. is constantly poking at all of the superpowers to create some sort of opportunity for someone to sort of flinch and then give them the authorization to sort of fight back. The other thing that's going on is the proxy wars in Syria. The U.S. has been, it's known now that they've been funding the rebels, the moderate terrorists, as they call them. Basically, if I had to take a wild guess, ISIS, they're funding these people so that they can fight against the Bashar al-Assad regime. So the U.S. isn't fighting, but they're supporting the rebels that are fighting. So they're basically at war using sort of, it's like outsourcing. They've outsourced their army to the, less than skilled rebels, and then they're throwing some boots on the ground. Just recently, they're going to put in 50 special ops, so these 50 special ops can go and train these rebels. So again, they're still supporting the terrorists. And then there's Russians start bombing in Syria, and they're targeting the places where the U.S. is supporting the rebels. So they're actually blowing up U.S. assets. And all this time, because reading a report just today, all this time, ISIS is actually gaining ground in Syria, taking over more and more cities, and it's just an absolute gong show. We got military personnel, holding up signs and hiding their face, and saying that they don't want to fight for Al Qaeda or ISIS or whoever it is that they're supposed to be fighting for. And then, in a brilliant act of bullying, there's I guess a high-ranking U.S. official holding his own sign where his face is shown that says that you signed up to serve, so get the F back to work, basically. So it's they bully their own military, their own personnel, and then they try to bully everybody in the world. I mean, ISIS is, in my opinion, the ultimate in false flags when it comes to World War III, because just by the simple fact that you're trying to create this division and this so many different things happening all at the same time, that there was blaming of Russian submarines floating around looking to cut cables for communication. You got battleships showing up in Cuba that are fully operational that were unannounced arrival. You have planes being shot down all over the place. You got the Russian plane that came down just last week, and ISIS claiming that they did it, even though it doesn't appear that they have the weaponry to do it. It's looking more and more like, and it's not been confirmed, that there was some sort of explosive on board, or the like a fuel cell or something exploded in the plane. Something likely exploded in that plane, whether it was put there intentionally and man-made, or it was simply a fuel malfunction of some kind. The one last thing that I found very interesting in our report here at the Eyes Open Network was the addition of a Russian doomsday plane leaving Moscow and essentially just hovering around the area for more than 6 hours, directly following or in the exact timeline of that Russian plane coming down. That's a big thing. I mean, it may seem like nothing to, just the average person looking on, thinking, oh, so they flew a plane around. If there is a huge world nuclear something or other going on, the safest place for the leaders to be is in a plane of that nature, up in the air for as many hours as it takes to, figure out what kind of threat they're dealing with, because they can run their countries from there. So that was a pretty interesting turn of events. I found this sort of checklist of things that World War III might mean. A term to describe the conflict, a worldwide conflict following World War II. Makes sense. So we are in a worldwide conflict currently, and it is following World War II. Now, consider this. I mean, the people who were in World War II didn't know they were in World War II at the time that it was happening. It was later then dubbed World War II and given a date of start and a date of end, even though it started long before the start date in the history books of World War II. So what's to say that World War III, like, there's not just going to be a newscast that goes, okay, World War III has now begun, please put it into history books. No, it starts by people pushing and shoving and fighting and scrapping and proxy wars and all this other stuff and all the stuff I mentioned earlier. And then it hits to sort of a crisis point or a flash point where it makes this huge bang. And that's when everybody thinks it started. But that's the problem, is that nobody gets their head out of the sand long enough to realize this is happening. And you need to get in front of it. Stopping it now seems almost impossible, but most common scenario, hypothetical nuclear war between the superpowers. That's the scenario that's been thrown around, that World War III isn't World War III till there's nuclear weapons involved. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, yes, nuclear weapons are more likely in World War III because of the fact that they are of the advances, but that doesn't necessarily mean that World War III has to have nuclear weapons involved. But, it's the most common scenario. The Third World War will involve many large nations in different parts of the world. Check. I mean, this is happening everywhere. South China Sea, up in Alaska, there's been some interesting stuff going on. We've got the Middle East, we've got Syria, Ukraine, you got Iran, you got, they're all Iraq, Afghanistan, all these places are getting involved. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying, I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Which just means that in World War III, things are getting leveled. We're going right back down to nothing, and we're going to start out from scratch. There'll be nothing left to work with, and if you want to fight with your neighbor, you're going to have to pick up a stone and huck it at his house. And you're going to have to go into hand-to-hand combat with a stick till we can figure out how to forge new swords and weapons again. So it's a very interesting quote from Albert Einstein. It's intriguing just because of the potential that we talk about for the Armageddon style result from World War III. This has been an Eyes Open Network report about the World War III having already begun. If you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you want to know more about it, stay tuned to the Eyes Open Network. We're always reporting, keeping track of everything we possibly can, and putting it together as quickly as we can get it ready for you. If you have any other comments, please leave them below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you get updates as soon as we post them. Have yourself an awesome day, and we'll talk to you soon.